Hello there. Welcome to the first Iceberg video on this channel. Due to this being the first Iceberg video I've ever made, it isn't going to be too much of a long one, but I will still try to make it decently good. Before I start off, I'd like to give a thank you to the Reddit user known as Reddit user Iron for making this iceberg chart, as I will be using it for most of this video. Before we dive in, this iceberg will be divided into 4 layers. To make things more organized, layer 1 will start off as normal, but layer by layer we will slowly dive down to more serious topics. With that all out of the way, let's start off this iceberg video. I'm sure you've all seen this picture before, right? It's possibly one of the most iconic photos in internet history. This, if you couldn't tell already, is the original Windows XP desktop background. It is an unedited picture of a blue sky background with perfectly green grass. The photographer who took this picture is named Charles O'Rear, and he took this picture in 1996. Microsoft later came across this picture in the year 2000 and decided to buy the rights to use this for Windows XP. It was claimed to be the most viewed picture in the history of photography. The picture was taken in California. Here is a picture of the exact hill used in the picture and what it looks like today. This refers to a Microsoft-owned flight simulation game. Microsoft Flight Simulator was first released back in 1982, but over time it became into what we now know as the modern Microsoft Flight Simulator. Over time, the game was a milestone for the simulation genre of video games and eventually got the ability for revolutionary graphics, putting real-world weather data into the simulation and real-life places that you could fly to. And while many enjoyed Microsoft Flight Simulator, it was also used for horrific purposes. Shortly after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, it was discovered that the terrorist group responsible for the tragedy used the program to train the hijackers to fly the planes into the targets. Windows Vista is considered to be Microsoft's biggest failure in its company's history. Windows Vista was the operating system which was released after Windows XP, and the people's reaction to it was critical. They criticized Windows Vista for its bloated appearance, development bugs, and the fact that it ran super slow and crashed often. The blue screen of death on a Windows operating system is the way that the computer indicates that it has crashed. It was first introduced back in 1993 with the release of Windows 3.1, and blue screens are commonly caused by faulty hardware, fatal system errors, or poor device drivers. And as normal as this may seem, the blue screen of death was actually the reason of a marketing fail during the launch of Windows 98. While Bill Gates was presenting the upcoming Windows 98 on live television, a blue screen of death occurred and caused a presentation fail.
Up to 127 USB devices here. That's an everyday task. Let's plug it in. It's going to say, hey, I see you've plugged in a new device. And it's going to load in the appropriate drivers. You'll notice that this scanner build, whoa. Moving right along. That must be,
Windows 11 is the latest operating system developed by Microsoft. It received generally positive reviews, but it was disliked by some individuals. It was criticized due to the fact that it was only available for those who met the hardware requirements, which for some people were too much. They also didn't like the fact that Windows 11 had no control panel. Unlike Windows 10, Windows 11 also has fewer customization options than Windows 10. And most people didn't like the general feel of Windows 11. However, it still managed to become a success. There is no doubt that Microsoft had a huge impact, not only on the world, but on the internet. Microsoft is one of the biggest companies in the world, after all, so it wouldn't be right if there was not at least one meme on it. And since the early 2000s, there have been endless memes regarding Microsoft. However, most of the memes don't surround the company. It surrounds one particular operating system. That operating system is none other than Windows XP. However, you might be thinking, but there was nothing wrong with Windows XP. Why would people meme on it? Well, Windows XP was perfect. The cultural impact it had on the world was outrageous, and people loved it so much. People meme on Windows XP because of how big it was. If you've made it this far into the video, congratulations. We have just made it through the first layer together, and we are now moving on to layer 2. It might be a good time to mention that due to this being the first iceberg video on this channel, I will not be including each iceberg fact in the whole video. However, I will split this series up into 2 parts, this being part 1, and the next video being part 2, which will be uploaded if this video hits at least 15 likes. Anyway, let's get on with layer 2. Microsoft Clippy was a virtual office assistant that existed in the days of Office 97, which was where Clippy was first introduced. Clippy was designed to assist users with Office, but in a fun way, using an animated paperclip that could talk. Unfortunately, people did not find the talking little paperclip fun at all. They rather found him intrusive and annoying, and Clippy was considered to be the worst software designs ever in computing history. Microsoft later found out about this and removed Clippy entirely, leaving the little paperclip to bite the dust.
Let's check the results. BonziBuddy.com is down.
Bonzi Buddy was a spyware desktop assistant, which was similar to Clippy. It had the ability to share facts, jokes, sing songs, manage downloads, and emails. It was described as adware and spyware by antiviruses, and the owners behind the program faced multiple lawsuits and had to shut down Bonzi Buddy in 2008. However, the legacy of the program still lives on. "3D Pinball Space Cadet" was a Windows game which was developed by Microsoft and was first released on Windows 95. However, the game became immensely popular as it was featured in Windows XP. This caused many people to grow up with the pinball game, constantly trying to find methods to win and timing the strategies. The game had an everlasting legacy, and people still return to emulations of this old Microsoft game to relive their own personal nostalgia.